Lesson: Determining the Truths. In the previous topics, we have learned what reality is and the different ways of acquiring knowledge. Rationalism, which is by reason and logic; empiricism, which is by experience and experimentation; and skepticism, which is by questioning established truths. In this video, you will learn the process of acquiring knowledge, the different ways to determine the truth, and much more. So the process of acquiring knowledge. Number one, it starts with reality. Reality, which is existence, includes the physical things and our inner world, thoughts, emotions, and this is the starting point of acquiring knowledge. After all, knowledge doesn't exist if reality doesn't exist. Next would be perception. We experience reality through our different senses: touch, smell, hear, see, and taste. So it begins from our experience, and it begins from what we perceive. The next would be concept. So after perception, we create concept and try to understand things that we see, touch, feel, or hear. It's trying to form understanding and explanation of what we perceive. And after that, there's the proposition. So after the concept, we then form propositions or proposals about what we perceive. In this, we propose that a certain claim or observation or concept to others to see whether they also agree. So take note of the difference between facts and claim. So claim, it is a proposition that requires further examination, so it can be contested. And facts, so it is something that is observed to be real and truthful. Next would be argument. Argument would be the series of statements to provide reasons or evidence that the claim or opinion is true. How do we use philosophy to figure out what is true? In today's society, we are often bombarded with a lot of information. So some of them are helpful and some of them are false. And information is important because it helps us make decisions. With fake news, we can develop inaccurate belief. And some believe about miracle drugs that were later on proven to have no significant effects on health. And some spread fearful news for their own selfish agenda. So some fake news also creates a story about a person that can destroy their image, which can lead to harassment. Even testimonials on social media can be fake. So how do we know that what they are telling us is true? Philosophers often grapple with the concept of truth. Truth lies at the heart of any inquiry. Knowledge must be truthful to gain validity and acceptance, but the concept of truth remains a controversial and a much discussed topic among philosophers. So what is true, or even a definition of truth, is a tricky concept in philosophy. Philosophers agree that there is no absolute measure of truth. There are various views which can help us tackle the concepts of knowing the truth and arrive at a reasonable assessment if a statement, idea, or event is believable. So here are some of the concepts and theories to know whether something is true. The first concept about truth is rooted in ancient Greek philosophy's concept of knowledge. Knowledge is that it is justified through belief. This concept states that something is true because you believe it to be true, and that there is justification for such belief. And this justification means that there is a process of proving truth or validity of a statement. And this process is made up of ways of critically testing a claim against certain criteria. Some ways a belief may be justified is by using one's perception and senses, by appealing to authority, or maybe even using reasoning. And later philosophers develop more theories on the nature of knowledge and truth, each providing a basis for establishing if a statement or an idea is true. And here are some of them. So the corresponding theory states that something is true if it corresponds to reality or it's the actual state of affairs. This theory assumes a direct relationship between an idea and reality, and that a statement can be taken as a fact. For example, the statement mammal is an animal which is warm-blooded, has hair, and feeds its young with milk, so is considered to be true. Then, that a dog barks is also true. The statement pigs can fly, however, is false, since in reality, pigs do not have the capability to fly. So, whenever we look up definitions in the dictionary, we accept these definitions primarily because of correspondence. So we expect that objects and concepts are defined as they are in real life. Then next is the coherence theory. It proposes that something is true if it makes sense when placed on a certain situation or context. Based on this perspective, there is a possibility that there will be varied truths from different perspectives. An idea or statement is true because it makes sense in its own context, and that it has a certain degree of consistency which renders it truthful. So, Muslims believe that certain animals like pigs are unclean, and for Muslims, this belief prevents them from eating pork. Non-Muslims, however, do not share this belief and thus do not subscribe to this practice of not eating pork. Pork is delicious, no? To each their own. And next is the relativism. It is a philosophical concept which contends that there are no absolute truths. An idea or principle is only true within a particular context, and this is possible. And with this, it is possible for alternative truths to exist in various contexts or situations. And next is the constructivist theory. It says that knowledge is shaped by social forces and influenced by culture and history. So what is true here, or what a person considers true here, is shaped by his society and culture. The constructivist perspective also believes that knowledge is gained as part of social experience and that it requires interaction and collaboration with others. So this perspective also holds that it is possible for knowledge and truth to change, given that what is true may be influenced by historical developments and social struggles. So different cultures have different beliefs. By not eating unclean animals is a good example as well. Also, marriage customs are different depending on culture. There's the arranged marriage, there's the political marriage, there's the marriage by love, there's the marriage by benefit, and there's also the marriage, religiousness of marriage, which considers marriage as something sacred. Next would be the consensus theory. It views knowledge as based on agreement, and that something is true if almost everyone agrees that it is true. Certain beliefs, traditions, and practices are often the product of consensus, as they may be imposed by influential groups or institutions such as governments or religious organizations. So consensus is also used to determine the truth of scientific claims, where experts must agree on a certain phenomenon before it can be established as true. So one example was when astronomers were debating how to treat Pluto, the dwarf planet. So next would be the pragmatic theory. It holds the view that something is true if we can put it into practice or if it is useful in real life. It also believes that ideas should be continually be tested to confirm their validity. Related to verification, it considers that ideas must be verified using the senses or experience. The scientific method, where experiments are designed to test hypotheses or confirm conclusions, is an example of a pragmatic approach in determining truth. So those are the theories on how to identify if something is true. Those theories provide us varied perspectives in analyzing truth. As a note, not one of these theories, however, can claim to be the most accurate measure of truth. So in determining the validity and reliability of ideas, statements, and claims, we need to use a combination of these theories to arrive at a reliable assessment of what is true. And here's another way of looking at them. We know if something is true by proving it through senses. To see is to believe. By proper justification, and if it is based on facts, or if through consensus, or have other people agree with it, especially by specialists, or by practicality, or to see whether it works, and by experimentation to test if it's the truth. So what other things should we consider in determining the truth? In determining the truth of any statement or claim, we must be familiar with how ideas are presented. Ideas and claims are often presented in the form of arguments, and these arguments are phrased in such a way that they seem reasonable. However, a number of arguments may be based on faulty reasoning, and these kinds of arguments are called fallacies. So some of these fallacies may be intentional, as the person making the claim is desperate to convince you that to accept his or her argument. In the table, you will see examples of fallacies, so you can pause the video to read the specifics about each fallacy. So there's the ad hominem, there's the appeal to force, there's the appeal to emotion, and there's the appeal to the popular, there's the appeal to tradition, there's the begging the question, there's the cause and effect, there's the fallacy of composition, and there's the fallacy of devotion. One should also know the difference between fact and opinion. When people say that the earth is flat, it is their opinion, based on facts and evidence. So, the earth is not flat. Okay? And facts are generally established truths, easily verified, do not easily change from one situation to another. Opinions, on the other hand, are more subjective and may express certain views and beliefs. Truth is knowledge validated based on the facts of reality. It is independent from a person's subjective thoughts and feelings. It either passes through the different ways of validating whether a claim is true. The truth is usually easy to confirm through reliable sources. Opinions, on the other hand, are statements based from a person's subjective perspective about reality. Opinions are not necessarily the truth, and when looking at opinions, it is usually open to possible interpretations. It may likely be based on emotion, it is likely not validated, and it is likely biased. And when looking at opinions, you should be aware of bias, or the personal views of the person presenting it. Biases are not necessarily errors in reasoning, but refer to tendencies or influences which affects the view of people. You should remember that. So here are some of the common biases. So you can pause the video to read the specifics of each biases. So there's the correspondence bias or attribution effect. There's the confirmation bias, there's framing, there's hindsight, there's the conflict of interest, and there's also the cultural bias. As a note, bias cannot be avoided in any discussion or debate. What is important is that the people engaging in the discussion are aware of their personal biases and have an open but critical attitude toward other views which conflict with their own. Okay, for review, pause and look at this.